was the lord of the underworld. That was the jackal headed god, so when a dog died, it could carry a message.
It is believed that as many as 70 million animals were mummified at sites like this throughout Egypt, which is roughly the same as the number of human mummies that have been found.
70 million is just the ones that have been found, right? Some presumably have gotten lost, have decomposed. So the fact that there's that many means that this practice was widespread and also that it continued over a long period of time. This went on for the whole 2,000 to 3,000 years of ancient Egyptian civilization.
But why did the ancient Egyptians mummify their animals?
In Saqqara, you see thousands of birds mummified right next to each other. Thousands of them. The reason that huge amount of animals were mummified in Egypt was because they believed those animals were sacred. They are the equivalent to lighting a candle when you go to a church. You bring a mummified animal that the god would employ.
Historians believe that the reason for this is that Egyptian people originally were animist. In other words, they saw the entire universe around them as filled with life, and they attributed deity, divinity, to the animals in their universe.
But it wasn't just in ancient Egypt where animals were so highly revered. Similar practices of animal worship can be found among the ancient Sumerians, the Maya and Aztec of Mesoamerica, and the Australian Aborigines, just to name a few. And in each of these separate cultures can be found stories in which animals are involved in encounters with alien visitors, otherwise known as gods.
Animals have always played a very interesting role in the Bible.
One of the races of angels themselves, who was witnessed by Ezekiel in his famous chariot vision, are in Hebrew called Hayot, which translates as animals. And indeed, they have the faces of animals, lions, eagles, and the like.
So in all these parallel cultures, we have a crossover of spiritual beings and extraterrestrial beings manifesting in these forms that's repeated over and over again. Could it be that these were the same extraterrestrial beings that were visiting each of these cultures at different times?
If cultures all across the world revered animals as having a connection with gods that came down from the sky, could this be evidence that certain earthly creatures possess a link to extraterrestrial entities? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and suggest that some of the planet's non-human life forms may even be directly related to mankind's ancient alien ancestors. Egypt. Within the mortuary temple of Hatshepsut, one of the few female pharaohs of ancient Egypt, is a carving of the bull god Apis, depicted with a solar disk above his head. Although he is little known today among the pantheon of Egyptian deities, historians suggest Apis was the very first god to be worshipped in Egypt, emerging around 3000 BC. He was considered to be the creator of humanity.
Animals were so important in ancient Egypt that one of the creation myths starts with the bull. The bull that comes out of nowhere. The bull that comes out of the sky, that appears in the middle of the endless ocean, is the one that creates humanity. That bull is the father of all humanity.
In many mythic traditions, it is an animal or sometimes a council of animals that creates people, and different cultures have different animals that play very, very formative roles. Sometimes this is a particular ancestor to humankind. Sometimes it's an ancestor to a particular
is reflected in their totem poles of those groups.
Many ancient cultures throughout the world not only had stories that humans were created by animals, but also depicted their gods with animal features.
Ganesh, the Indian Hindu god, the one with the head of an elephant, could intervene and solve problems for the faithful. The monkey god Hanuman was a bit of a trickster, but he could be seen interacting with human beings, walking among us. In Aboriginal stories from Australia, the creator of the universe was a rainbow serpent. Many of the animal gods were described as descending from the sky. The Egyptian believed in Thoth, a god with the head of an ibis who taught science, philosophy, and magic. Khepri had the head of a scarab and played a major role in the creation of the world.
Most of the gods were depicted with the animal head and a human body, because ancient Egyptians knew that the head had the wisdom.
If the ancient stories of flying monkeys and animal-headed gods are literal accounts of what our ancestors witnessed, as ancient astronaut theorists suggest, is this evidence that humankind was created by otherworldly beings that are genetically connected to animals that still roam the Earth today? Or did the extraterrestrials disguise themselves as animals to appear more friendly and acceptable to early humans?
We could be dealing with extraterrestrials. Extraterrestrials who chose to incarnate as cats and dogs and other animals in order to guide humans and also to disguise their true form, to manifest on Earth in a form that would be perhaps more palatable to humans.
Zeus is one of our most well-known gods from the Greek pantheon, and we have Zeus transforming himself into a bull, which is part of the story of how the people of Europe were formed, in Europa. We have Zeus transforming himself into a swan, Zeus and Leda. In the traditions of West Africa, the Vodun traditions, Papa Legba, he's sometimes called, very often appears as a variety of animals.
In the Native American Pawnee culture, the sky god, the creator god, the great spirit, would never come in direct form, but use animal forms, many different animals, as a way to communicate with the humans.
In the Pawnee tradition, young men entering adulthood would go out on vision quests. They would isolate themselves from the tribe, perform ritual prayers, and fast. Through this process, they would enter a trance-like state in hopes of communicating with these intelligent animals.
A bear might come up to you and say hi. It might be a caterpillar. It might be a squirrel. But at some point, something interacted with you. Some animal actually interacted with you. And that was held to be very, very profound in terms of your own identity, in terms of your own spirituality. So the idea is that each animal, therefore, is connected to their own sort of animal spirit. So that a singular caribou is in part in touch with this sort of larger caribou spirit. So, in terms of the vision quest, you might figure out who your guardian spirit was.
Similarly, in India, the prophets known as rishis would describe animal encounters after extensive meditation. And in Mesoamerican and Pueblan cultures, shamans would use powerful psychedelic plants to not only communicate with otherworldly creatures, but in some cases, transform into the animals themselves.
In all these traditions, the encounters are taken very seriously. These animal energies are very real and tangible, and the wisdom is extremely valuable.
Some ancient astronaut theorists propose that while extraterrestrials may disguise themselves as animals, they may also have a real physiological relation to certain creatures on Earth. And they suggest that those creatures were put on this planet with a very specific purpose, one that is vital to the advancement